Hey, I hope that you're doing well, and I'm writing this for future Jonah because I learn best when I take something and I talk about it out loud. And if this is helpful for future me and just one other person, then it was worth it. So let's get started. Why being objectively smarter, quote, makes you unhappy. So there are 6 key reasons why smarter people from an IQ perspective tend to be less happy. The first one is you don't often act in emotion. The second is you see the full scope of opportunities, so you know where you fall short. Third, you feel that you should be doing better because the world says so. 4, comparison is the death of happiness. 5, you regret when others make decisions that you know aren't good. And lastly, the higher the IQ, the more likely to be socially isolated. So let's dive into these. The first one is lack of acting in emotion. So if your heart says, I really want to move to LA and I want to pursue my acting career or my lifelong dream, but your actual self says, well, I have a stable job and I kind of like it here in Wisconsin. It's okay. It's not that bad. And so you don't take action to leap. Then there's always a piece of you that, because you're trying to be logical, is never giving into the emotions that you have, which just leads to a large feeling of discontentment. And this can happen in a job. This can happen in a relationship where, oh, well, they're fine. They're not, they're not bad. And so you never find the person that would, fulfill that emotional need that you have, which leads to, over time, feelings of regret for yourself for not living up to what you felt inside. Second, because you can see the full scope of opportunities, you know where you fall short. So if you look at something and you can see, wow, there's an investment banker making billions a year, and on the other end, there's, somebody who's like broke in the negative, and there's an average and a median and somewhere between here, because you can see the full opportunity, you immediately know, like, there's somebody doing better than me. And it's so easy when you see the whole pie to assume that you're one of the lower ones there, which just leads to you like not feeling happy. Now, real quick, before I go further, I feel like I need to define what objectively smarter means. So simply take an IQ test, and 100 is average, 50% of the population is below, 50% is above, roughly 35% is between 100 and 115, same ratio between 185, and then roughly 12 or so percent is in that next group, so 115 to 130 or 85 to 60, and then the rest are on extreme ends, either 130 or higher, 70 or lower. I think I mixed up those numbers, 70 or lower. And so as you tend to get higher, these tend to apply more, but it's not a blanket statement. And there's people across the entire spectrum who feel these emotions, and it's no way exclusive to these people. This is just something that on average has been a trend. So let's go back into it with number 3, which is you feel that you should be doing better because the world says so. And this is similar to seeing the whole pie. It's easier to know what you're missing out on. And because the world says, oh, you're smart, you should be launching a rocket into space, you should be at the top of your field. And when you're not, you feel like you're letting yourself down. When perhaps you're doing amazing, you just have unrealistic expectations because you're number 4, comparing to other people, which is the death of happiness. I'm never going to be Elon Musk. I wasn't born into an oil-rich family. I'm never going to be like the crazy top 10 people in the world. There's a chance. I'm sure in some dice roll there is a chance that I could get there, but I cannot expect it, and my happiness can't be based on I'm going to hit this financial milestone or I'm going to do this, because so many of those things are down to luck. I mean, Tesla just happened to get the right mix of electric cars when batteries were getting better, and there was just enough technology and automation in the manufacturing process that they could just barely scrape by. And if they were a few years before or after, they probably wouldn't have hit it big like they did. And that simply is luck. That's how it is in every field. You had a bad test day, you didn't get into the law school that you wanted, which meant you didn't get the internship you wanted, which led to all these things, or maybe you did on the other end. And part of it is just life. There's just luck. And you can do as much as you can to stack it in your favor, but at the end, you can't blame yourself for something out of your control. You can't compare to other people because it's going to make you unhappy. And it's so easy when you're, oh man, this person is like, just seems so unsmart, they're dumb, they look stupid, but they're selling like crazy, and I feel like I know all these things and I'm not selling. I must be, all of a sudden you're unhappy because you're looking at somebody else and you're letting yourself compare yourself to them and be unhappy. Number 5, you regret when others make decisions that you know are objectively bad. So in the very first point, it talks about when you act in emotion, even though that's not the most logical thing to do, a lot of times it brings happiness because we are inherently emotional people, and you have to understand that. Happiness is an emotion. It's a feeling. It's a mixture of chemicals in your brain. It's not something that you can, like, objectively you follow this 10-step checklist and then you're happy. That's not how it is, and it's different for everybody. So you have to understand the emotional role in this. When you see somebody who makes a decision, like maybe they crack their phone and then they go and spend $1,000 on the repair, and you're like, there's a shop right next to you, they repair it for $50. Why did you spend $1,000? There's emotion behind that decision that justifies why they did it, but you're gonna be like agonizing, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna get the same phone screen repaired and you paid 20 times more. What are you doing? And you have to know that other people's decisions can't affect you. They just can't. You'll be unhappy if they do, because your locus of control is outside of yourself. You're not going to be happy if you do that. Okay, and then lastly, the higher IQ is, on average, in general, again, these are generalizations based on that average, you're more likely to be socially isolated. And having friends and being social, whether it's with a spouse, with children, extended family, with complete strangers, is linked to happiness on average. The more people you associate with, and the more deep, meaningful relationships you have, the happier, quote, you're going to be. So what you can do about this in order to fix this is, if you are potentially objectively smarter or more intelligent, by the way, I do not claim to be in this group, but if you are, then make sure that you are listening to your emotions, because when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to be thinking about, I made the most logical decision and I was an accountant in Wisconsin. You're going to be thinking about, why didn't I take the time to pursue this opportunity that I wanted? Because now I can't. Second, when you look at the full pie, every opportunity that you could have, don't compare yourself. Just don't. Because there's going to be somebody who's doing better. There's always somebody who's got luckier, was more successful by the world's standards, successful, and it's just going to bog you down. And lastly, have strong relationships with people, and make sure that that's the most important focus in your life, because if you have good relationships with other people, with friends, whether you're in your 20s, whether you're in your teens, if you're in your 60s playing pickleball, have those good friends, because nothing is going to make you happier and bring more enrichment to your life than the people that you associate with and the shared goals and bonds that you have with them. I hope this is useful for future Jonah and just one other person, because then it would be worth it. But this is why being objectively more intelligent makes you unhappy, and what you can do to still be happy, because you only have one opportunity to live. You only have one shot at being on this earth. Maybe there's more. Maybe whatever it is that we hope happens after is true. But what we do know, without a fact, undoubtedly, is that you're probably going to wake up tomorrow, and you probably will wake up the next day. And sometime between waking up the next day and the end of your life, you got to use that time that you have. So thank you if you're still listening. How have you been able to find happiness in your life? What have you done? And I want to hear about it. So let me know in the comments, message me, email, send it on a carrier pigeon. I don't know, something. But I love you all, and take care.